You are on the Six Screens Telenetwork, the go-to site for your infinite source of precise, reliable, and factual material exposing the Watchtower organization.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in. Welcome into JW World News. Well, here it is. My goodness, I can't believe it. We're looking at April, what is it, April 9th? My goodness, we're moving along fast. Stay with us. Well, there you go. Welcome in, everyone. We really love to have you come in and join us every Saturday night. My name's Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And boy, I will tell you, why is it? I mean, it's like I get an adrenaline rush every Saturday night. Right when we get to do the news, I get very excited. And the reason why I'm getting excited is we are really watching a religion. It's not a major religion. Well, it's really a cult, but let's go with religion for now. We are watching a major religion collapsing as we speak. So that is what I like every Saturday night. We've been doing it for 16 years. We never missed a Saturday night. And the reason why we are here is because you are here. Yeah, you guys, you rely on this. I would have loved to have something like this when I was coming out of the Watchtower. I didn't know who to talk to. I was searching the internet at the time, but it really wasn't that popular at the time. But I was writing emails to people, getting on some of the forums that they had back then. I couldn't get enough of what was going on behind the curtain of the Watchtower. So, that's why we do this every Saturday night. And, I'm getting help too. We've all been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. So I'm getting help too. And maybe you guys are hearing some things that are kind of repetitive. Maybe you're saying, well, I've already heard that. Well, we have so many new ones that are just coming out now that they haven't heard this stuff. So, sometimes you might say, oh, Rick, that's elementary, but we get a lot of new ones that are starting to come out and starting to listen in. See, because what is it when people are leaving the Watchtower? The first feeling you have is, am I doing the right thing? Really? Am I making a mistake? Is this really the truth? What if Jehovah deserts me? I'm a dead duck at Armageddon. So these are the things that run through your mind. But don't let it run through your mind because it's not the truth. And then what you need is you needed other people. This is what I needed when I was getting out of the organization back in 2005. I needed people to solidify, to validate that this is not the truth. And by talking with other people, it was wonderful. I realize it's not the truth. So maybe you're listening in here for the first time. Thank you. Thank you very much for wanting to come on tonight and be with us. Now, remember, this is a live show. So if you are on YouTube, Facebook, on our Six Screens video suite, on our radio network, on four different platforms, if you would like to come in and speak up, by all means do that. If you're on YouTube, I'll put up a telephone number that you'll be able to call in because we'd love to hear from you. Maybe you've got something that you want to talk about here tonight. So by all means, we'll put that number up in a short while and you'll be able to call us up from YouTube. And we're always glad that we have so many people too that are listening in on our radio telephone line. So they do speak up. So it makes it very, very fascinating. Well, let's take a look. Let's see what's going on behind the curtains tonight. And like I say, this is in real time. So if you do call in, you're talking to real people in real time. There's not even any time delay, maybe just a couple of seconds. But you get a chance to talk with someone. You get a chance to let us know what's on your mind. But with everything that's going on in the world today, and boy, isn't it something? Isn't it really something You turn the news on, all of the different things you're seeing when you go to the grocery store. You're looking at prices that are going sky high. You're looking at gasoline that's up to the moon. You don't know what to do. And hey, listen, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all feeling the pinch as it is. So you got all this going on in the world. And I'm now understanding what's going on with many Jehovah's Witnesses. They are beginning to see that, geez, maybe we are living in the last days. I mean, the organization's really pummeling that into their system. Well, only time will tell. But the Watchtower obviously has a lot of people right now that are really scratching their head. Many, even sad to say, are coming back to the meetings. Oh, that sounds terrible, right? But they're coming back to the meetings because, the sky is falling. Armageddon's here. Well, I got, listen, there's a Watchtower magazine. It's the February 2022 edition, the study edition. And they just studied a few weeks back, but I picked some things out of this magazine that I thought would be appropriate to discuss here tonight, because there's a lot of things that are going on in the Watchtower that do not make any sense at all. It really, really doesn't. And in this article in the February 22nd Watchtower, there's an article, Trust in Jehovah. Now, when you read in the Watchtower the term trust in Jehovah, what they really mean is trust in the governing body, right? So we all know that. But here's something of real interest. Now, on paragraph 6, I'm going to read this verbatim. It says, do you trust in Jehovah's way of doing things? Well, I mean, if you're sitting in the congregation or listening in on Zoom when they were reading this study article, you'd probably say, oh, yeah, I trust in Jehovah. Oh, he's my God. Now, as the end of the system of things draws near, the Watchtower is saying we need to trust in Jehovah, trust in Jehovah's ways of doing things as never before. So they're telling you kind of ahead of time that Jehovah is going to be doing some things like he's never done before. Oh, my goodness. I mean, how would you take that? I mean, God is pretty consistent with the way he does business, but the Watchtower in paragraph 15, they're telling you that Jehovah is going to do some things he never did before. So I was kind of curious. What is Jehovah going to do that he never did before? It says, during the Great Tribulation, we may receive instructions that seem strange, impractical, or even illogical. They're almost like saying Jehovah is going to be giving this information or instruction to the witnesses. The way they write is very critical. It's unbelievable. They do a great job at it. They're more or less saying that Jehovah is now giving instructions that may not seem practical. Well, it goes on to say, of course, Jehovah will not speak to us personally. He will likely provide direction through his appointed representatives. There we go. His appointed representatives. Well, who would they be? Now, then it goes on to say, and we're going to get into the meat here. I'll finally get to the chase. Then it goes on to say, you don't want to second guess the direction or to view it with skepticism, wondering, is this really coming from Jehovah? See, they're making you believe that everything you hear in the organization is coming directly from Jehovah's mouth to your ears. Oh, my goodness. And then it says that, is this really coming from Jehovah, or are the responsible brothers acting on their own? Boy, isn't that interesting how they write? So you're sitting there in the audience, whether it be in Zoom or if it did happen to go to a meeting, and you're thinking, wow, Jehovah, he's got these brothers and he's speaking through these brothers. What are these people? Modern day prophets? Are they supposed to be inspired? No. So now it goes on. How will you fare during critical times? Right now, they're speaking about in human history. They're saying this is one of the most critical times ever and crucial times ever in human history. The answer might be indicated by how you view theocratic direction now. So they're asking you as a witness to really zero in on information that's coming out of the Watchtower, coming from the elders, coming from God's representatives on earth. If you trust the direction we are receiving today and you readily obey, yeah, I'm going to underline obey it, you will likely do the same thing during the Great Tribulation. So they're telling you the Great Tribulation is just about here. Obey us now because you'll have to do the same thing when the tribulation hits. You guys know it, the Watchtower Society, they use fear mongering. Huh? Fear mongering to control their members. This certainly speaks volumes for the governing body because they're the ones that are giving all this fear. They are the ones that are making the witnesses feel so paranoid right now. Geez, they just got through with the COVID virus. The witnesses are still wearing masks, even though they don't have to. They're scared to death of COVID still. But the governing body is now saying, now this is right in the Watchtower, February 22nd. Again, we hear this crazy statement, no matter how strange, how impractical, or how illogical their instructions will be, the whole article here really shows the Watchtower's true colors. It's not what Jehovah wants, it's what the governing body wants. Yes, everything is cleverly disguised using Jehovah's name, not the governing body. Yeah, they use Jehovah's name in instances like this. This, friends, is mind control at its finest. Now, there's a picture also in the February 22nd article, and it shows a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses in a bunker in someone's cellar. And it shows the elder, and he's reading instructions. So it's kind of like giving you a visual picture. Okay, here's an elder, he's giving us instructions. And then there's a man, he's leaning against the lally column. He's reading against the lally column in the bunker. And he's like thinking, he's kind of thinking, does this make sense? Just by the expression on his face. So, but they're saying that even if it doesn't make sense, you've got to go along with this. And it says that during the Great Tribulation, we may receive these instructions. And Jehovah isn't speaking to us personally, but he's using his representatives. So, friends, I guess the Great Tribulation is finally here. That is the message I get from the February 22nd Watchtower. Jehovah's Witnesses are gathered in a secret meeting place to find out their instructions to safety. Well, friends, I don't know. We've heard it before, haven't we? We have, and now all of a sudden the witnesses are hearing things that are strange, impractical, and sounding illogical. And I wanted to start off tonight's news with this because what's going on in the organization right now is illogical. It's not making any sense to me at all. And I have to say that the Watchtower has been pulling this baloney on people for 140 years. They've been making the false prophecies, promises, false doctrines, and the people seem to go along with the instructions. But I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to bring this to your attention. Now, they're asking you as a witness. They're asking you as a witness to follow everything that God's representatives want you to follow. But yet, just here, well, a few years ago, back in 2017, in a Watchtower study article, it said that the governing body is neither inspired or infallible and can err in doctrine and organizational matters. Well, they told the witnesses that back then in 2017 that they're not infallible, they're not inspired. And then just a year ago, in the Watchtower, 2021, again, the Watchtower says you must be obedient to the governing body who can err. They're telling you the governing body can err in organizational direction. when they give out organizational direction that appears illogical, strange, or impractical. So they're saying that they can error, but at the same time, they're going to give you information that's going to sound very impractical. Again, at the annual meeting in 2021, the governing body, like all the anointed remaining on earth, well, did you know they're going to die before the end? And that is going to, well, they're going to abandon. They're going to abandon the witnesses. They're all going to be gone. Samuel Hurd gave a talk at the annual meeting in 2021, and he said all the anointed will be gone. They're going to go to heaven, and then they're going to come back with Jesus with his executional forces, and they're going to destroy all those that don't obey Jehovah. Well, that's everybody other than Jehovah's Witness. We know this. So I got a checklist. Here. First of all, the Watchtower is saying, that's not me. The Watchtower is saying that the governing body is not inspired. Let's check that. The governing body is saying, the Watchtower is saying that the governing body is not infallible. Check that one. And also, let's check not logical. Yeah, that's what they said. It's not sound logical. So, and also, let's check this one. All of the anointed are going to be gone. You're going to be abandoned if you're a witness. All right, so let's check them all. So I wanted to bring this out tonight in lieu of some of the crazy things that we're going to be talking about here tonight on JW World News. And we want to make it very interactive. I want to get you guys speaking up and talking. But, we've been talking about this instructions coming that don't sound logical, for a few years now. See, they tell you before they tell you. I first remember reading about this, things are going to be coming that don't sound illogical back in 2013. Well, here it is, 2022. So I first started hearing it then. So they've been priming the witnesses from very stupid, very illogical thoughts that are coming down the road. And I think we're here now. I really think we're here now. And let me just say why. With some of the things we're going to discuss here tonight, going back to the meetings, I think at this time it's illogical. Not that I'm a big COVID believer. I'm sure there is COVID, but I know the Watchtower, they made such a disaster. They really made everyone paranoid. Keep your mask on. I read letters here, announcements that were read at the Kingdom Hall. And some of the letters, just not too long ago, say 6 months ago, was saying, now be careful. If you're an older person, it might be best to have, a younger brother or sister or some family member go to the store for you. Make sure you're wearing your mask. Make sure you're not around people that have COVID. They were going crazy overboard. Then they made a 180-degree turn overnight. Okay, time to go back to the meetings. This took the witnesses by surprise. So anyways, what we have here, and I'm going to play this to you. I think you'll find it very fascinating. Let me just see if I can find it here. Yeah, I believe it's right here. Not this one. I think it's this one. Yeah, now I'm going to play this video for you. Let me just see if I can't share this. I'm going to share this for you. This was down in, I believe it was Houston, Texas. And this was actually on a news station. Remember we talked about Robert Hendricks before? He seems to be one of the head honchos in the Watchtower. And so he is a promulgator, a lobbyist, call him what you want, an influencer. But he's getting all of these local television stations and newspapers to do articles on the witnesses and how great it's been during the COVID virus, how they've been gaining new attendees, and now they're going back to the meetings, and it's wonderful. So this was down in Dallas, Texas, I believe is where it was. And what I want to do is I want to share my screen with you because I found this really, really fascinating. All right, so we're going to share it. Let me just find it first. I'm going to share the screen, and let me move it over here. Just give us a second. I really want you to see this because it's really a bunch of propaganda. That's all it is. Let's see if you guys can hear it. I believe we got it up here now. I'm going to share it. Let's play it. Let me just turn up the volume here. Hold on. All right. Just give it a second. Sometimes you're playing these commercials, but let's see what happens. Okay.
Jehovah's Witnesses will return to in-person worship. There are more than 50,000 witnesses here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and more than 8 million across around the world. And they've all attended services on Zoom twice a week, every week for the last 2 years. It has been a balancing act during the pandemic to carry on the preaching work while also protecting people's health.
We were satisfied that we were being productive until the coast was clear. And we feel like while we're not past the pandemic, we're at a point in which we can make this decision and move forward with the choice to come to in-person meetings at our Kingdom Hall and to remain safe in doing so.
I know I myself and my family are ready to get back and see the ones that we haven't seen in person, give them hugs, embrace them, express ourselves to them, see their smiling faces in real time, real life.
Despite the limitations of virtual services, meeting attendance for the witnesses actually went up during the pandemic.
Today,
Well, what do you think of that? So they're saying there that even during the pandemic, meeting attendance went up. You can see it's all propaganda. It really, really is. And this guy Hendricks, like I say, he's a real con man, and he's been being used a lot by the Watchtower to promulgate these negative propaganda stories. But he's doing it, and it's quite fascinating to me. They use him all the time. So, I think it's kind of crazy that the witnesses are doing this. They're coming back now to the meetings. They do have to wear their masks, and we'll talk more about that just here in a second. They're going to, now the memorial, that's coming up. We know that, okay? We know the memorial's coming up, and we know that that's going to create a real issue too. That's going to be a real petri dish. Geez, you're going to have people in there shaking hands, hugging, and kissing. I'm really surprised the witnesses aren't having heart failure over this, but they are. They really, really are having heart failure over it. And let's just go down and take a look at this. As we're saying, this memorial is coming up next Friday. It'll be the 15th of April, and this is going to be a super spreader. Let's call it that. They're going to be passing the emblems hand to everyone. Now, there has been instructions. I've read instructions that you really should bring some Perel with you, some of this alcohol cleaner for your hands, that you'll wash your hands before you kind of touch the glass, and even wash your hands after you touch the glass. So, this is going to be interesting to see. I can't imagine a worse event for spreading the virus than passing the emblems. Really, when you think about it, even the government has been telling people to be careful, because you can get the germs even by touching something. So there's some people that are not allowed to go to the memorial in person this year. Did you know that? Yeah, some of the people can't go to the memorial because they tested positive. If you tested positive for the COVID virus, you can't have contact with anybody. You can't go to the Kingdom Hall for 10 days. So if you've been exposed, even if you didn't catch the virus, the Watchtower is expecting you to, if you've been exposed, suppose you're at work and you found out that Sally Jones, your work partner, she caught the COVID. Now all of a sudden you've got to be, coming straight forth and say, I can't go to the meetings. But that's not going to bother a lot of people. They don't want to go anyways, right? Now, also, I get information coming in here today from a woman. She said that in her congregation, there was an elder that, he went to the meeting on Sunday. They had a meeting last Sunday. And on Tuesday, he tested positive for COVID. So that means that he'll be out of commission for 3 meetings. So it's interesting, even if they don't test positive, even if they have, if you have the sniffles even, you could just call up and say, look, I don't think I want to come. So I'm thinking the majority of people, many of them would be exposed, especially in workplaces and school. So it'd be a good excuse to stay away from the hall, right? Yeah, well, a friend of mine, school had the COVID, so I can't go, Mom, So, anyways, I find that very, very interesting that they would actually come back to the memorial, and that's going to be a big, that's going to be a petri dish. Really, when you think about it, there are going to be more germs floating around these little cracker box kingdom halls. I mean, we're not talking here about St. Patrick's Cathedral. You guys know that the kingdom halls, for the most part, are little cracker boxes. Now, some of them, I mean, there's a myth that all kingdom halls don't have windows, but many do have windows. But the ones in the inner city, they don't have windows for the most part because of vandalism. So now you're going to have all these witnesses come in. There's going to be no windows to open. And also, I was reading today that a lot of the kingdom halls have been shut up, as we know, for 2 years. And the vents, from what I understand, many of the kingdom halls never had those vents cleaned. And really, publicly speaking, you have a public arena or a building where people meet, those vents are going to be cleaned. And a lot of the kingdom halls haven't cleaned their vents because it's expensive to do that. So you're going to be going in, you're going to be breathing everybody else's air. There is going to be a real nightmare when it comes to COVID in the kingdom halls. So let's see what happens. This is why I'm saying, does this all sound logical to you? Now, maybe it would sound logical if the witnesses 2 years ago said, no, phooey on all of this, we're still going to meet. But they made such a big deal about COVID that now it's kind of backfiring right in the face of the witnesses. They are beginning to think, what is going on here? What are these instructions all about? That's why they have to write silly things like this, even though it seems impractical. But, did you think about, the memorial itself? Let's just touch on that. And I'm going to be at the memorial. I'm going to be protesting this Friday night. We're going to be live on Facebook. We're going to be live on YouTube. So you'll get a chance to see some protesters in action. So that'll be Friday. But, I have to say that this memorial is really a sham. I mean, do you really understand what goes on at the memorial to begin with? I've always remembered one thing. Now, I was of the anointed class, but I was also of the great crowd class for many years of my life. But I never really, when I was a member of the great crowd class, I never really could understand the memorial talk. I didn't see where all of these so-called respectful observers fit in. I did not see where they were invited. I didn't see biblically that there was respectful observers. After all, when Jesus had his last meal with his disciples, these were all committed disciples that believed in Christ. They believed in the kingdom. And Jesus didn't have respectful observers, but somehow the Watchtower, they feel they have to have all these people come and reject the body of Christ at every single commemoration, at every single memorial. And this has always been disturbing to me, because even then when I started partaking, my former wife and I were the only ones in like 100 miles around that really were the only ones taking it. It was really weird that other people would just pass it by. They were rejecting the body of Christ. But there's a scripture. I'm not going to get them. I'm going to do this just for the sake of not preaching. I'm just teaching. I'm just going to tell you, there's a scripture that I always thought of that made a lot of sense to me. John 6:53. Jesus said, I tell you the truth, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you cannot have eternal life within you. What do the witnesses do with that? Everybody's rejecting the body of Christ. They just pass. Oh, I'm not taking that. Pass it on. They look at it like it's a time bomb. Get it out of my way. But nonetheless, they have to at least be offered to them, and they reject it. Now, I'm going to bring this up, and you folks probably know anyways, but I'm going to tell you just to reiterate something. You folks, have you heard about the Black Mass and how it resembles The memorial? Well, the Black Mass, first of all, let me identify it. It's a satanic ritual. The Black Mass is a ceremony typically celebrated by various satanic groups. It has allegedly existed for centuries in different forms and is directly based on the Catholic Mass. So it's a parody. The Satanic Black Mass is essentially a parody of the Roman Catholic Mass. Now, what do Roman Catholics do? Well, you guys all have heard of the substantiation, right? Where the Catholics are all offered the wine, the bread, and the Pope gives it to them. And they take it, and that is supposed to be the blood in the body of Christ. Well, in Christianity, it's very similar. And the witnesses even do celebrate this commemoration, but very, very few people take it, as I say. So what I'm saying here is I'm not going to deliberately say that the memorial is as bad as the Black Mass, but it certainly isn't a good thing, right? This satanic parody, the bread and the wine, in the Catholic Church, as well as in the Satanist Church, of course, the witnesses call it the emblems. They call the bread and the wine the emblems. But in the Satanic Church and also in Catholicism, they call it the host. Now, what the satanic people do is they desecrate or they defile the host or the emblems. You say, well, how do they desecrate or defile them? Now, I'm going to say, I'm going to be a little strong-winded here, so to speak. I'm going to tell you that the witnesses, when they pass the bread and the wine by and nobody takes it, they as well are desecrating or defiling the very host or the emblems, what it represents. So what do they do? Well, what do they really do? That is the Satanists. How do they defy it? Well, they just don't pass it by. I'll tell you what the Satanists do. Now, not all, but some Satanists, because it's a Catholic parody, what some Satanists do is they find it's really of the utmost importance to break into a Catholic church prior to their celebration. And if they can steal the very wine and the wafers of the bread that they would use in that Catholic church, if they can get their hands on the real McCoy, they find it even more symbolic, you could say. So what they do is when they don't pass, well, they pass it to each other. And then when each one takes some of the wine, they throw it on the floor. They throw the wafer or the bread on the floor and they step on it. Now, the witnesses aren't that bad, but it's bad enough. If you're a Christian, if you really have a connection with Christ, you should be partaking of the emblems. But the witnesses make it so complicated. And when people go to the memorial, the talk is so complicated. And then the talk seems to always be centered around an explanation of why we shouldn't partake. You notice that? Oh, if you're not worthy, don't you take. So, people are squirming in their seats. Oh, I'm not worthy. I can't have that. There is not a single Bible verse that suggests anything of the sort why you have to be talked out of not partaking. There's not one verse that can do that. So I just want to, not preaching, I'm just teaching. I got to show you some of the false teachings in the Watchtower. So through a lot of logical or illogical acrobatics to explain the memorial, people are walking out of there, they don't even know what they heard. And maybe you brought relatives. Maybe you brought relatives to the memorial and you said, well, what'd you think of the memorial? Wasn't it wonderful? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you don't get anything out of it. So listen, if you're going to the memorial and you're a PMO even, just remember the scripture in John 6. If you want to get into the kingdom, you got to drink that wine. Read some scriptures before you go. Get into the new covenant. and drink the wine if you feel you're so worthy of it. You don't have to be super worthy, but if you really are a real Christian and you're seeing real Christianity is the way to go, then take it and laugh in their face. So anyways, this memorial seasons, I want to just say this about C.T. Russell. I don't know if you guys remember it, but there's some history behind all of this. And I'm going to tell you, back in 1914 in the Watchtower, it was saying that this evening's service, the memorial, there are 32 people who were there in 1914 at this particular Kingdom Hall. C.T. Russell was there. And it was said at that memorial, this might be our last memorial on this side of the veil. Well, what they mean by this side of the veil is before they go to heaven. So that was back in 2014. Then the Watchtower pulled the same deal not 2014, 1914. Then in 1918, the Watchtower did it again. They said at that memorial, yes, they did, that this might be our last memorial. And if you remember 2018, they said the same thing. This may be our last memorial. Isn't that something? So it's amazing. If anyone has any thoughts, if anyone wants to speak up, now would be the time to do it before we move to the next stories. So go ahead, hit *6. Come on. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
I've forgotten about the propitiatory sacrifice of the Christ once for all time.
Pixie, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable. But they get away with it. They get away with it.
The only good advice they had was that go bag. Remember to put a brand new toothbrush in your go bag and have a little wheelie go bag. And they were right about that. But the thing is, I don't think it's going to be a congregation moving across the Red Sea. If you ever have to use that bag, it's going to be you on your own.
You're right. But all the witnesses have a go bag. I mean, it's not a bad.
They're smart on that.
Yes,
It's one piece of advice they're right on.
Well, yeah, no, I would say that it's good for everyone to have a go bag. I don't have a go bag per se, but I've got some stuff that I got to get a bag and put some stuff in it. But I did buy the stuff
Well,
that
get a
goes in
little
it.
wheelie cart and put a fresh toothbrush and some water and some things and some socks and underwear, because in this world we're in, we never know. And I can't wait for Reese's show tonight, because the German newspapers use the word just like Weimar regarding their own economy. So these high prices are across Europe as well right now.
Wow, well, wait for him. He's not gonna get too deep into Ukraine and Russia. He got beat up last week. So he's got some more stuff he's gonna discuss, but he's gonna go deep. He's gonna go deep, I'll guarantee you that. So he's coming on at 9:30.
The whole world's got the food prices.
Oh yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the rest of your show, so I'm gonna listen now.
All right, well, thank you, Pixie. Thank you for coming in. All right, anybody else have anything to say? You want to come in? You going to the memorial? What are you going to be doing? What do you think?
Richardson,
Yes.
am I on?
Oh, you're on, Dick.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dick, first, and Susan after you.
Yeah, just a quick thought. When they're asking Jehovah's Witnesses, if there's something sounds strange or weird, you can't see the logic in it, just do it. And of course, the witnesses are thinking this is coming from Jehovah, as you allude to, and not the governing body. So they're probably going to do it. And I don't bet you I give you any kind of odds that what they're going to want, they're going to want you to sell your car, your house, all your valuables, and give it to the Watchtower. And the same thing is like when they were crossing the Red Sea, Jehovah will protect you. Jehovah's going to take care of you, but it's not going to happen. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Dick. Susan, go ahead.
My question was, I think they're having a mask mandate for the memorial, are they not?
Yes. In fact, most congregations, I believe, do have to. In fact, they do have to have a mask. Yes.
I was thinking too about the picture you showed, that bunker picture that you were showing, or before they go into the memorial or anything they do, are they going to have a vaccine card in order to get in, or a mask, or what are they going to do about things like that? It just seems so crazy for them to get involved in things like that, because COVID's going to be around for quite some time, or at least they'll make sure it is, because it helps control people so well. So I'm just going to.
Yeah, good thought, Susan. Now they're not going to. They do have to wear a mask, but they don't have to be vaccinated. This is going to create some issues, and we're going to talk about that on our next story, because we're going to kind of stay in with what happened to the meetings this week. Boy, they were a disaster, from what I understand. Thank you, Susan. All right. Any other thoughts before we move to the next topic, to the next news item? All right. I guess not. So, anyways, let's get back to the meetings. Well, that's where the witnesses are. They started last Friday night, about a week ago. Now, after more than 2 years of virtual worship services on Zoom, Jehovah's Witnesses, as we now know, have gone back to resume in-person worship as of Friday, April 1st. Okay, I believe we've shown this one here, and that was, of course, in Texas. Remember the video we showed you at first? And they were saying how they now meeting, there's 50, boy, do you believe there's 50,000 Jehovah's Witnesses in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? They had over 350 congregations. So, you know, it was on the news. They're going back. And, of course, that Robert Hendricks, as we said, he's a propagandist of the highest order. So here we have the now meeting. And you heard the video. And now let's think about this. A lot of PMOs, they are reporting on what happened when they returned to the meeting last week. And I'll tell you what, in many cases, the meeting is backfiring. The COVID is spreading among people that are returning. Now, last Saturday, I want to share this with you. One woman wrote that when she went back to the meeting, it completely backfired. It was kind of interesting what she said happened. She said that one of the overseers in the group, he tested positive for COVID, and it created a real issue. I mean, think about it. Think about it. Now everyone's going to be paranoid to be near the brother. And even when he does come back, they're going to be, oh, what's going to happen here? So, you know, another thing you have to keep in mind is the Kingdom Halls, as we mentioned earlier, they're old, they're poorly ventilated, and they're going to be packed on the memorial. I really believe they will be. I think that they're making an all-out effort to get as many people as possible. Now, how are you going to social distance? You know, the Watchtower is kind of suggesting that, but not making it totally instructional. But how are you going to social distance in a packed Kingdom Hall? And, you know, everyone's going to be giddy. And, of course, they have been giddy when they go back to the meetings for the first time. And they're seeing everyone that they kind of forgot about. And now that they're back, they're making very close contact. They're kissy, they're huggy. They're, oh, good to see you. You know how that is. That's human behavior, right? This is going to create some issues. Yeah, the in-person meetings, and there's going to be a COVID explosion. Now, I'm not a firm total, you know, I know there's a COVID virus, but I'm not like paranoid about it. But in the meantime, I know Jehovah's Witnesses are. They're paranoid about the COVID virus. And they've been paying close attention to all the instructions of the governing body on what to do during COVID. So now they're meeting, and many of them are thinking, well, my goodness, why we're meeting already? How'd this happen? We didn't make this time to get through the COVID explosion. But I'll tell you what, there's going to be, in the minds of the witnesses, they're all going to have COVID. You watch. I mean, you know, if you've been so paranoid for 2 years, and that's all you were doing is wearing your mask, even at your house, and even some were wearing it on the Zoom meetings. And you've been so paranoid. Don't you think that's going to hang on? You think you can just take a broom and, you know, swish that out of your brain in a week and a half? Not really. So now there's already reports coming in here to the 6 screens that Kingdom Hall congregations are already canceling meetings for the next few weeks. That means a lot of meetings will be canceled for the memorial. You'll have to get on Zoom. Well, yeah, something that the Watchtower governing body is hoping, they're hoping they can really get people back to the meetings, and they're hoping it can be a big success, because what the governing body is doing, and the officials of the Watchtower, they're trying to determine what the actual loss of rank and file members over the past 2 years is. Now, just like anything, if you were running a business, don't you think the CEO, the chief executive officer, and he hasn't been in his business for 2 years, but he was just kind of poking along, he'd like to know what's went on. How many rank and file people did we lose is what they're going to be thinking. Did someone want to speak up? Go ahead, you're on with us. All right. Anyways, if I was a governing body member, I'd want to know that. I'm sure they're all on the edge of their seat. They're really waiting for the memorial. Oh my goodness, they are just on the edge of their seat. They're waiting to see how many people are going to go to the memorial. Friends, this is their flagship meeting. This is the meeting that says it all. This is the meeting they're so proud of. To tell you, 20 million people attended. Well, let's see what happens this time around. And like I say, I'm going to be there protesting. I'll be there protesting in front of that Kingdom Hall. And we'll be live on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll probably, in fact, even we've been on the telephone line too. We're going to have the telephone lines open. So maybe if you guys want to call in on Friday night on the telephone line, you can do that. And you can ask us questions, and maybe you want us to say certain things. Well, what I'm going to try to do this time around is I'm really going to try to hone in. I know there's a lot of PMEs. In fact, they're in both ways, physically and mentally in. But there's also a lot of PMOs. That is physically in, mentally out. So I'm hoping we might be able to get a word or two in with a PMO. Maybe they'll roll the windows down and we can get a little sneak preview of what's on their mind. I'm going to try hard. I'm going to try hard to get a PMO to talk to us next Friday night. So the earnest desire of the governing body, what they're really putting all their hope and thoughts and feelings into, is the memorial coming up next Friday night. So it's going to be COVID. COVID is going to be there. It's going to be a disaster waiting to happen. I just know if you've been focusing on COVID for 2 years and then 2 weeks of being isolated per se in your home, governing body opens the Kingdom Hall, you still have COVID on your mind. You're going to feel like you caught it. You haven't been around people for 2 years. Now all of a sudden you have a packed Kingdom Hall. You're going to be like a hypochondriac. You're going to feel like, oh my God, I think I got the COVID. Yes, imagine 200 people in a building that's designed for 150. People are going to be rubbing their noses. Then they're going to be touching the plates and the wine glasses. Friends, this is a petri dish of infection. That's what this is going to be. COVID has now become an obsession and an excuse. So the witnesses, yes, COVID has become an obsession. There's going to be so many COVID cases. I'm going to go online to tell you that right now. There's going to be so many COVID cases among the Jehovah's Witnesses after the memorial. It might even make national news. Jehovah's Witnesses have to close down 500 Kingdom Halls in the Southwest because of a COVID outbreak. These are probably what you're going to be hearing. Yeah. I don't know how long the organization can continue on. They're probably going to have to go back to Zoom. Everyone is scared right now. The witnesses are scared. But, I know they want to open for the memorial. This is big for the governing body. They want to open for the memorial. And I'm seeing this more than a spiritual commemoration of Christ's death. I'm seeing it as your big cash and grab thing. It's a great way. It's a fundraiser. The memorial is a fundraiser. It's going to bring a lot of cash in. So my thoughts would be, what is going to happen if someone goes to the Kingdom Hall and gets COVID and dies? Well, what's going to happen there? Is the Watchtower responsible? And another thing the witnesses have got to be thinking, if God is all powerful in knowing, why have so many brothers died from COVID? Don't you think these are good questions? I do. I think they're good questions. But the governing body, see, they're going to say to you, You know, there's brothers and sisters in other parts of the world. They're jumping over crocodiles to get to the meeting. You're going to let a little virus stop you? I mean, seriously, that's their feelings. So wait till all of these Jehovah's Witness COVID cases start catching up with the Watchtower. It's going to be interesting how they deal with it. But, you know, I was talking to my wife, Susan, last night. She brought up a good thought. Now, you know, we've talked about this probably 6 months ago here on JW World News. And there was a letter that was an announcement that was read. Read all these announcement letters. And one of the announcements was read that if a Jehovah's Witness refuses to be vaccinated, it would be best not to aggravate their feelings and not to really rub it in. If they refuse to be vaccinated, kind of be neutral on it. But even back then, there were some witnesses that were taking a position. I'm vaccinated. He's not. He's not welcome. So I'm just thinking out loud because I don't know. But I'm thinking, okay, let's just suppose that some of the people go to the Kingdom Hall and they get COVID. Now, and then the first thing out of some of the witnesses' mouths might be, well, was he vaccinated? No, sister, he wasn't. Well, he shouldn't have been here. Shame on him. Could these people now, could they actually be marked? Could they be brought into the back room for reproof? I mean, could some maybe even be disfellowshipped because they kept coming to the meeting even when they had a fever? Where does this all stop? Where does this all stop? So these are excellent questions. So the meetings are happening. They're in full gear right now. And I did get a report from one woman that went to the meetings, and she didn't want to go. But now just think of this. These Kingdom Halls, they have been laying dormant for 2 years. Even the Kingdom Hall down the street where I used to go, I drove by it a couple of times. It wasn't kept up like it usually was. You know, the bushes were all trimmed before, the grass was mowed, the sidewalks were swept. So a lot of these Kingdom Halls are in disarray. Let's put it that way. So, anyways, at one of the meetings, this one sister who gave me this information, she said she went to the bathroom. She went to the Kingdom Hall, and she went to get up and go. Yes.
Well, hey, it's Braden. How are you doing?
Good, Braden.
That's good. I kind of wanted to give you an illustration to how the organization is beginning to fall. You know, if you take, let's say you take a tree like an oak tree that's, let's say, 50 feet tall, right? And you hang from it, let's say, a weight of about 2 tons, for example. Now those roots can support that, but eventually, slowly, one by one, each piece is going to start to break apart, and the tree is going to become weaker. I think we're going to see something major happen very soon. I've got that feeling inside. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Well, now you're talking something happening in the witness world or in the world in general?
Well, I mean, with all the pedophile cases that are coming forth, with the government now beginning to really, really look into them, it's kind of like, as I just gave you the illustration, the roots are slowly coming out piece by piece. And I think one of these, wherever it will happen, where they're fully investigated into, I think it will have some consequences to their falling.
Well, I know that they're aware of all of this, and they know now they have governments on their back. They have so many people who have left the Watchtower that have become activists, like all of us on here. So they're worried. They're worried, right?
Yep, exactly. Their castle is built on sand.
You got it.
So,
well, thank you.
It was nice talking to you tonight, Rick.
Well, thank you, Ray. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.
Rick.
Yes.
This is Chewy. I don't know whether you mentioned I just turned back in, but I did see on that Google Alerts, and I'll shut up when I say this, on that Google Alerts, that Jehovah's Witness Google Alerts, I saw one last night, and then I saw another one. But the European Supreme Court reversed two of those decisions, the one in Norway and the one in Belgium. But they didn't get any money out of it. They just what's the word I want to use? The European Supreme Court said that the Jehovah's Witnesses, that the Denmark and Norway were, what they did was discrimination. So they reversed the decision, but they didn't give any Watchtower didn't get any money out of it. So I did see that on Google Alerts.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw that came across the last day or so. So I was going to wait for the dust to settle, and next week we'll go through that because there'll be more. I'm going to kind of dig into that. There'll be more information coming forth. Yeah. So the Watchtower.
Yeah, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick. Belgium and I believe Germany and it could be Norway. Yeah, they're being investigated for shunning, and they're thinking about bringing charges up on Watchtower for influencing their members to shun people.
Yeah, well, yeah, we've been talking about that the last few weeks, and yeah, that's true. That's true. These three countries are coming down against the witnesses. In Norway, specifically for shunning, and of course in Belgium too for shunning, but also in Belgium for their child abuse. So you got countries now. We got a number of countries that have turned their ill feelings toward the Watchtower. But as Chewy just said, now the European Commission of some type, they're looking into all of this to see if indeed the Watchtower is being discriminated against. But it's still breaking news. Next week we'll talk about that. But thank you. In fact, Jeff, give me a call tomorrow. You have my telephone number, by the way?
Yeah, I do. I'll give you a call tomorrow afternoon if that's fine.
Yeah, I got a program. Yeah, give me a call after the program tomorrow afternoon. We can talk about what you've been speaking about. Yeah, I see a message in there, but I wanted to call you and I forgot. Yeah. So give me a call. Yeah.
Okay, I'll call you, Rick. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. All right, you're on JW World News. That's the news. The Watchtower doesn't want you talking about, but we talk about it. Hey, I want to go back to this meetings and the woman that went to the meeting, and evidently it was an old rickety, rackety Kingdom Hall. And so anyway, she got up to go to the bathroom and to use the hot water, and it makes a loud noise. Really, I mean, it hasn't been probably turned on for 2 years. So the bathroom water is making noise as it's coming out. And then even the attendants could hear it. So 3 of the attendants, ministerial servants, got off their seat. The microphone handler, the door attendants, and the guy guarding the hallway, they all ran into the bathroom to see what was going on because that pipes were making so much noise. So, so the same old baloney at Kingdom Halls. Why do you need 3 ministerial servants to go check it? Oh, they want to be first to save Jehovah's Kingdom House. And then also, it was brought up too, gossip is going to be back. Yeah, I mean, Kingdom Halls are the hotbed for gossip. We all know that. You were probably gossiped about when you were a witness, right? As a matter of fact, in this particular Kingdom Hall, the sister where the bathroom pipes were rattling and shaking, there was an unmarried brother and sister, and they were sitting together in the Kingdom Hall. Can you imagine that? And so the mother of this woman that gave me this information was sitting next to her, and they saw the unmarried brother and sister, my goodness, sitting together. How could they be doing that? So the mother said, well, don't worry, they must be engaged. They must be engaged. And the mother said, oh, yeah, yes, they must be. So they're sitting together in the Kingdom Hall. But you know something? That's even taboo in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses. If you aren't engaged and you're sitting with another woman or a man of the opposite sex, let's go with that, then that could be a form of fornication. It makes you think, doesn't it? How crazy is that? But I've seen it. I've witnessed this. I've been in a hall in Tennessee specifically where I was invited to go there. My family lived down there, and I was invited to go there because there was an engaged couple that was going to be getting married. So I was invited to come down and meet the boyfriend of this woman that I knew. So when I went down there, they weren't even sitting together, and they were engaged, and they felt that awkward about it. Even being engaged, they thought it would bring reproach upon Jehovah to sit together in the Kingdom Hall. How bad is that? How bad is that? So, you know, plus you're going to have all these problems with, well, it's the same old thing. Kingdom halls are a hotbed of gossip. I think most people believe that. I think most people listening into our program tonight, I think they believe it is a hotbed of gossip. I know they used to gossip about me all the time. I was probably one of the most gossiped. In fact, I'll tell you what, I was one of the most gossiped persons in the whole Kingdom Hall. You say, why? Well, it wasn't because I was a man running around with other women and immoral. It wasn't because I was going out robbing banks. I was gossiped about because I was taking of the emblems. And that's all the brothers and sisters, according to one pioneer, told me. That, I said, well, what do they talk about in service? And the pioneer brother said, well, Rick, they talk about you. I said, talk about me? He says, yeah, they're all, you think Rick's really anointed? You think he's really anointed? So they gossip all the time about everything. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Do you think the witnesses gossip? Have you ever been gossiped? Did you gossip as a witness? Hit *6. I want to hear from you. Go ahead. Don't be a stranger. All right. Well, I mean, where is everybody tonight? I mean, the phone lines are open. We got a lot on the phone line, but I guess you'd rather just sit back and enjoy the news, I guess. Go ahead. All right. I'm sure they can all unmute. I hope so. But if not, don't worry. I got enough to talk about here tonight. Sometimes it just gives me a break when someone comes in. Do you ever sit here? We have no commercial breaks. Yes.
Yeah, just a quick thought. Years ago, back in, I think, 73, when I was engaged to my first wife, we went to a gathering, get together, and she sat on my lap. We were engaged. And, they said that was awful close to fornication. And I'm thinking to myself, you should have seen what I was doing 3 years ago when I was in Nam. Oh, my God.
Well, that's how foolish it is, Dick. That's how foolish it is. But yet they have all this sexual perversion, wife swapping, child molestation, all of this stuff goes on the Watchtower, but boy, because your wife to be sat on your lap, they're having a heart attack. Jeez.
Yeah, there was 3 elders, to look at me. I thought I raped somebody the way they were talking.
Unbelievable.
God, they're so sick.
Years ago, when I was a young girl, about 8th grade, this other classmate helped me across a pond. And he put his hand out so a little lady could take her hand and put it there and get across a pond. If a girl needs to get over a fence or across a pond, that's considered gentlemanly behavior. I got home, and my parents got a call from the parents of this other 8th grader. They came over the house and gave my parents hell because how wicked I was because he had to help me across a pond. That's how prudish these people are.
I am with you. They're very prudish, Pixie. How do you live in a world like that? Boy, it's
You
good.
can't. Even the Amish would let you get across a pond.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating you say that because it is. It's very.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Miss.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, good.
I've been listening a lot, but I haven't really been talking much lately. But I still calling and listen.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good.
Yeah. So, what are you doing next Friday? Are you gonna go, protest or something?
Yeah, that'll be next Friday night. We're going to go down and protest at the Kingdom Hall. I mean, we're not going to have it
Where?
in Wilmington, Massachusetts.
I mean, is it the one by you, the one close to you?
Yeah, the one by me. Would you like to come with us? I'll get you a two-way flight if you want to come.
Actually, no, actually, next Friday, I would love to come, but next Friday is Good Friday. My church is having me do something like a service.
Yeah.
Going on that night.
Yeah.
It's Good Friday, so I'm going to church. But if you wasn't, I will come. Sorry. Anna, is your daughter still around? That.
Well, I actually had 4 daughters. Yep. No,
I mean, the one that she lived really close to you, and she was a witness.
Yeah, she moved, but she's still a witness. But she moved. She moved down south. Yeah.
Oh, she did.
Yeah. She moved down, yeah.
Okay. She's still a witness. Wow.
Oh yeah.
So how many witnesses you have? You got like 5 kids, right? How many are witnesses?
Well, actually, there's only one. She's the only one left. Basically, I mean, there's still some of them are still kind of hanging on, but basically, she's basically a real loyal, straightforward witness. Yeah.
Wow. So all of the others are kind of like gone. Your son is not a witness. I thought he was a witness.
Well, not all completely gone per se, but they're not as loyal as they used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, good luck next week.
Well, thank you.
Church, right?
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, and you have a good week. Yes. Yeah. So so this idea of we were just talking about too as well, the prudeness, there's this idea of holding a person's hand and thinking it's a sexual gesture. I can remember. I'm going to tell you a story that it still upsets me till this day. And then this happened to good, I would say, 35 years ago. And it had to do with my son. My son was in high school. And my son started liking a young little sister. Well, she was 17. He was 18. So he started liking this girl in the Kingdom Hall, a little Irish redhead girl, a cute little girl. And so they started liking one another. So isn't that normal? I mean, is it normal that teenagers, 17, 18, they kind of get attracted to the opposite sex? I mean, is that a normal thing? I think it is. So anyways, they started seeing each other secretly, which I didn't care for. So what they would do is she was supposed to be a pioneer. My son was going to high school. So she would drive by the school, he'd skip school and then go off for the day in the car. That I didn't go for, to be honest with you. I thought that was not right. But anyways, the girl's father, he got all upset. So he came to me one night at the meeting and says, Rick, we got to tell the elders about what's going on here. I says, look, we'll handle it, Ivan. His name was Ivan. I says, we'll handle it, Ivan. We don't have to get the elders involved. There's no need of it. Oh, no, I'm going to the elders. So, and they would talk on the phone at night. I didn't see anything wrong with that. I used to talk to my girlfriend on the phone at night. So, I mean, I don't see any problem with that. So anyways, we went to the meeting that week and Ivan come up to me, Rick, we're going in the back room. We're going to have the elders in the back room talk to us about your son and my daughter. I says, there's no need to do that. They're going to make a mountain out of a molehill. They're going to make this a big, big story. So sure enough, we go in the back and this elder, he says, well, tell us what's going on. So the Ivan spoke up. He says, well, my son, my daughter, and Rick's son, they're talking to each other on the phone. And I says, yeah, that's pretty normal. And I said, what do you call that? Fornication? That's a little pun there, but
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, yes.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people in the comment section on YouTube are saying that Carrie from the suite had a stroke.
Oh, she did?
And they just wanted to let all of her friends know.
Oh, my goodness, that's sad to hear. That's sad to hear. Boy, our heart goes out for her. And let's pray for her and let her know what we're thinking about her. My goodness. Yes. I'm going to say a prayer at the end of tonight's program. I'm going to say a prayer for Carrie. Yes. All right. Thank you for letting us know that. Okay, so let me go back to my son. Yeah, my son. So we're in the meeting with the elders. So they said, well, I hear they're dating. I says, well, I guess they would be dating. I said, I don't like that either, the meeting in the car. But I says, why don't we have Cheryl, was the girl's name, and my son, why don't we have them together? We'll have them come over our house. Ivan, the father, mother can come over. We can sit around, watch a movie together. And we have some popcorn together. We can have a good night all together. Oh, no, 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 no. Can't do that either. I mean, that's how thick-skinned these people are. You can't do a thing with this organization. They said, no, that can't be done because that would be construed as a date. And if you date someone as a teenager, or even, it doesn't matter how old you are as a witness, if you date someone in the organization, you have to have marriage in mind. You have to have marriage in mind. So, I mean, what kind of an organization?
Right.
Yes.
Hi, this is Debbie.
Yes, Debbie.
I was going to tell you something like this happened to me, and I was a grown woman with 2 kids, and the brother was from another congregation, and he was an elder. My dad was an elder and invited this brother to give a talk, and he and I were visiting each other because he lived several hundred miles away, and he had 2 little boys, the same age as my little girl, little boy. And I mean, we were seriously talking about marriage. So when he came up to visit at our Kingdom Hall, the only ones that knew him was my dad and mom and me and the kids. But I mean, I didn't want him to sit by himself, and we were talking marriage. And so me and the kids sat with him. And I got called back to the back the next week because the regular pioneer couple at our congregation thought we were setting a really seriously bad example for the rest of the congregation. And anyway, it just turned into a stupid thing. And because of all that, that brother decided he didn't want to be a part of that, the whole area that I lived in. And he certainly would never come back and give another talk. But his talk was great. His wife had left him for a group of men, and they got divorced. And he hadn't been divorced as long as I had. And he had also gotten, divorced on grounds of her fornication. Can't think of the other word for it.
Pornea?
No, what's it called?
Fornication?
Well, yeah, I said fornication. Adultery.
Adultery.
We had both divorced from our mates on the grounds of adultery.
Right.
It wasn't like we weren't old enough. I mean, we were in our 30s, and we both had kids. He had full custody of his kids, and I had mine.
There you go.
And it was crazy. But finally, we just stopped seeing each other because of that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really sad.
Well, they've wrecked a lot of relationships, Debbie, that's for sure. Well, thank you for checking in. Thank you. Yeah, that's Debbie out in Nebraska. Yeah, let's take a look here. It looks like they are going back to public conventions this summer. Yeah, they're going to go back to public conventions. And what I'm seeing here Atlantis, he sent me a letter. This man we have that sends us all these announcements. He sent me an announcement this week that what they're looking at, people who want to make arrangements can stay with people. Remember years ago at the conventions that you could actually have people stay with families, the witness families. As a matter of fact, I can remember that back when I was a young person, when we had a convention at Fenway Park in Boston. My mother, actually, she was a witness. She had a family come in, another witness family, and they spent the time with us while they went to the family. Well, they're doing this again. Now, it seems like they got away from that for a while. They always had this rooming where people could stay, but it seems like they got away from that for a while. But now I'm seeing that the motels and hotels, they are so expensive. They're really expensive, sky-high prices. So I think the Watchtower is realizing that not everybody can afford to go to a motel like they did just a few years ago. You could go to a Motel 8 or a Motel 6. In some places, you could actually stay in some parts of the country like for $38 a night. Those days are gone. According to the United States Census Bureau, a hotel room rates right now, as of January, well, that's just 2 months ago, but a few months ago, but they'd even be higher now. But back then, the average cost of a hotel room as well, average cost was $119 per night. So things have really got expensive. So it's even more than that because it's back in January and things have gone up. And the reason why they've gone up is simply supply and demand. There's a big demand. A lot of people have been pent up during the COVID virus. People want to get out. They want to just get away from their little cabin, their house, and go out and stay in a motel. So they're willing to pay more money because there's a big demand. So this summer is going to be chaotic. If you think the prices on a motel or hotel now are bad, wait till this summer when people get their vacations and they want to go out. So that's why I'm sure the Watchtower now was looking for people to stay. If they want to stay in a family that's witnesses, they're now taking applications. So isn't that something? So, what I'm thinking too is maybe they can also help feed the witnesses because food prices as well. Look at the witnesses are going to have to do a lot of juggling around just to get to the convention this summer. It's going to be too expensive, really. When motels were $50, $38, that's one thing. They're probably going to be on the average of $150 a night. So you stay 3 nights, you're looking at $450, $500. Geez, you're talking big money. So also the restaurants. Have you guys been out to eat? Have you been out to eat at a restaurant? Well, I haven't, but I have friends that have. And I'm going to tell you something. Well, go into a sub shop. You like a sub sandwich? A sub sandwich not too long ago, you could buy a nice foot-long sub. You could buy it for probably about $4.50. But buy a sub today, you're looking at close to $10. I mean, it's like almost doubled. Restaurants have raised their prices at least 7% over the last year, and they're going up from here. So how is it that the witnesses are going to be able to afford to go to a convention? And not only that, it's going to be further. These conventions are going to be further. Some of these witnesses are going to be traveling, 400 or 500 miles, at least 2 or 3 for many. Now, what about gas? Is gas going to be expensive? You can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be expensive. Some people are already saying once the summer season gets here, it's possible you can see gas. Now, right here, it's about $4 a gallon. It's okay. Came down a little bit from a couple of weeks ago. But this summer, when the demand for gas is there, don't you think for a second that the oil companies aren't going to take advantage of it? And you'll be, well, I filled my van the other day. It cost me $63. So that wasn't too bad. But I see some guys with pickup trucks, they're paying over $100 just to fill the tank. So how is it? I mean, there's going to be some problems with conventions this summer. I don't want to, always be looking through glasses here that aren't giving me the truth. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't see how there's a lot of witnesses. They're not going to be able to afford to go to the conventions. They're going to have to get these private accommodations. So that's how I feel. I mean, I can remember I went to the Peace on Earth 1969 convention at Yankee Stadium. It was 8 days long. I don't know how I even afforded it then, but I did. I just had a small little job. I was only making $120 a week. But I can remember I must have saved my money up or whatever, because I didn't get a loan. Nobody gave it to me. So I must have saved it up because I can remember going to the hotel. We stayed at the Holiday Inn in New York City. It was $28 a night. You know what that Holiday Inn's going for now? $360 a night. So, there's a big difference. So I don't know how people can afford it, but we'll see what happens. What do you guys, you feeling the pinch out there? You think the witnesses are going to be able to afford going to the convention this summer? That's going to be a major expense. I really see it's going to be a major expense. Did you get to all the conventions?
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, it's Dan. How you doing? It's a
Good.
great show tonight.
Go, thank you,
Yeah, I
Dan.
was just thinking, boy. I was thinking this, Rick. You know, Paradise just got more expensive. You know, we've been paying for years. My dad had to lug around 4 boys, and we had to stay at those stadiums. And you know, in Denver, we were in hotels, and like you said, everything doubled, tripled. We were in Sedona last year, and they were $600 a night. And so, and then in Arizona, with a lot of the Hispanics coming over, you can't even get a hotel. So it's going to be a lot harder. You've got COVID to deal with. You've got so much stuff, paranoia. They're so paranoid. I don't know how they could go live with somebody else. They're going to be saying, did you get your shots? You know, it's going to be a lot. But, you know, Paradise with the witnesses has never been free. We paid our way all along. You pay when you go to the assembly, you pay for your own food, you pay for this, you pay for, you know, they're not doing nothing for free. All those stadiums, you know, we know, Rick, they were always short. You know, I used to carry money up the stairs in garbage bags, and they had 2-3 people counting them and 2-3 people watching, and just thousands and thousands of dollars. And they never had enough. And so Paradise just got more expensive. That's all I want to say, Rick.
Well, that's a darn good
You know what I
comment.
mean?
I know that's a darn good comment. It did get more expensive, but it's now to the point. You know, everything in this world, Dan, you know it, all the people listening in here tonight know it. It's money. Get on the money trail. It takes money to do everything.
Right.
It takes money to do everything today. There's no question about it. The witnesses have never been trained. Many of them have menial jobs. I'm not picking on them because really many never really went on, got good careers. They never got good jobs. They didn't get educated. Not their fault. It's the Watchtower's fault. But now the Watchtower is expecting them to cough up. I mean, I could just think, even if a family has to travel 200 miles to go to a convention, which is not unusual, 200 miles, fill a tank up, fill it up. It's going to cost them $100 for gas. I'm looking at it cheap here. Say $100. Plus, you're going to have to stay 3 nights in a hotel. And I'm going to tell you, hotels, motels this summer, a minimum 200, a minimum of 200. I don't think you'll find a place any cheaper than that. So there's 6, 7, plus you got food. It's going to cost you $1,000. Can the average witness come?
I'd be scared.
Yeah, really.
I'd be scared, Rick. I mean, with gas, like you say, a couple hundred miles, 2 tanks of gas. I mean, my truck's about $100 a tank now, and it's a small tank. And, you know, I didn't even think of gas till you just mentioned it. It was gas, hotels, food. I mean, in the economy, you know, everyone's been out of work, and it's crazy. I mean, it's going to cost a fortune. Hey, I was going to mention one thing, Rick.
Yeah.
That Jeff wanted me to mention. That's a very interesting thing that he came up with. And it was this, and I did it the other day. You can actually put a Google review on the Kingdom Hall. On the Kingdom Hall, they have a place that says leave a Google review. And I don't know if you know this, but a Google review you cannot take off. You have to bury them with other reviews. So I put a review on there, and then I saw somebody else comment on it. Yeah, I was in this cult. You know, I didn't say nothing real bad. I just said, hey, you know, I feel like the people in the hall are pretty nice here. But I said the people on top is a cult. And I said I was in it 40 years, and I did this, and I waited for the world to end, and I left this testimony on Google. And so all of a sudden, we Google reviews. So all of a sudden, I put a post out last week. Leave a 1-star review. You got to push the star. You got to push a 1-star review, and it'll let you leave a review. And I went, oh my God! So we can actually leave our wonderful testimonies, you know, about Watchtower.
Yeah, Dan.
You know?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Dan.
Jeff.
Yeah, I was going to say, every Kingdom Hall's got their own website, is what just go to the Kingdom Hall you went to, and you could do it anonymous, and you'll open that up, you open up their website, and they'll have stars up there, but I'll just hit reviews, and then go down and give your opinion. It's totally legal. They can't sue you over it or anything. Nothing can be done. And it goes through Google. It's totally legit, you know, so, and you could give a bad review or a good one, but, you know, I'm just encouraging
encouraging XJWs to do that, and you don't. You can make it so you don't leave your name. I left my name. I don't care, but I left it with all the Kingdom Halls I went to, and I told them that they were a doomsday organization, and I truly feel they're a cult. So that's my spill.
And I just wanted to chime in on that too, Rick. I mean, it sounds like harsh. I mean, but look at the witnesses that brand us, apostates. And so, I thought here's the thing. I have a business, and a Google review can put you out of business because everybody sees the reviews. But with the, with the memorial coming up, it might be something to do. I'll tell you what, I put it on Instagram and I put it on Facebook, and I got about 200 hits. People were like, this is awesome. And I put a little thing where it shows you can leave a star, because I seemed like I couldn't get in unless I left 1 star. So I just put 1 star, and I kind of said a little good with the bad, because I feel like the people are just brainwashed. Most of them are loving, and they're doing what they think they ought to be doing, but the top is corrupt, and the top are liars, and the top are occultists, and the cult are mediums, and they channel literature, and the people pass out the channel literature and enable these guys. And so, man, to leave a review, my God, Rick, I mean, what do you think, Rick? I want to ask you what you think. Do you think it's like that would be a good thing? I feel kind of bad, because it's permanent. I know the damage it could do.
Well, I think it's a wonderful thing. I really, really do. I mean, you're not lying. You're not getting in there and writing something that's not truthful. It's the truth. And when, that's the thing is, I mean, I buy things on Amazon. I look for how many stars. And, sometimes I feel people might be lying, or they might not be telling the truth, good or bad. But if you get in there and tell the honest truth, I think it's good. And then the Watchtower, I'm going to tell you, in fact, Dan, all of us have to be activists, and we do it in different ways. That is activism really in a very good way. It's subtle, but it's getting to the point.
It really is, Rick.
Yeah.
I've had to really defend myself this week. I was on YouTube, and a lot of people were really coming down on me, and I've talked to them all, and they were attacking me, over this thing. I mean, man, Dan, you've been out 40 years, and you're still doing this and doing that. And I said, how can I walk away, my friend? I said, I got family in there. I've gotten out. I've turned my life around. I said, I said, before you can help somebody, don't we have to explain to them what's wrong? I said, so that's what I do. I spend a lot of time reasoning with people, throwing out different ways of looking at things. Like one of the things I told a guy last week, I said, we were told, and I don't mean to interrupt the show so much, Rick, but we were told that, what was that thing I said, Angela, about Jehovah? Oh, Jesus, slips my mind, that talk I was going to give. I forgot what it was, Rick. But anyway, but I just saying, I help people reason. And so I was telling people, I just help people reason. I just throw things out. I said, I've got a fabulous life. My life is good. My cup runneth over. And I said, but I do this, and I love it. I actually love it. I don't try to beat everybody up and blah, blah, blah. But I said, I really enjoy it, and I'm not obsessed, and I'm not angry. I might be a little passionate, but I think it's something we all should do. In the 12-step, they teach you, if you've got well, then maybe you should hang out and help somebody else get well. It's time to do a little service. And so that's what we're all doing. And Jesus did it. He talked to the Pharisees. He said, you don't enter in, and you don't allow the others in. You all end in the pit. You're blind following the blind. You're whitewashed graves. You're hypocrites, offspring of vipers. Get behind me, Satan. He didn't mince words. And so there's times we don't mince words, and then there's other times we're a little more gentle. But, I'm glad you're doing it, Rick, and we all should feel an obligation. I mean, I'm so blessed. I got out of there, man, and I'm blessed.
Hey, Dan, I was going to say I am too. I'm blessed that I found you and Rick in this show. I mean, you guys really, really helped me. Helped me out. I wish I would have found you guys years ago. And, but yeah, back to those reviews. I think everybody ought to leave one, and Rick's absolutely right. Just tell the truth, which that's what I did. I told the truth. And, I told the truth about the so-called truth. We'll put it that way. And I didn't add any more. I thought about it, but there is a lot of good people in there. I gotta say that. But they're brainwashed, like I was, and a lot of us were. So.
Well, good for you. Good for you, Jeff. Really doing that is a wonderful thing, and Dan too. And I'm going to do it myself. The thing is too. There's a saying, and many men have used it. We're really not sure who came up with it, but you guys will recognize the saying when I give it to you. Because we get chastised. I get chastised all the time for protesting. People say, "What are you doing that for, Rick? That's just feeding into the persecution complex." I hear it all the time. And, they don't like that form of activism. Some people call it too aggressive. But it's okay. Maybe it would be for some, but I don't push people to do it. But all of us can be activists, and we all should do something. And that saying that I like so much, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And really, that's why I invite everyone who is an ex-witness out there, or even a PMO. You don't have to give your name, but do everything you can, whether you are writing a report or a Google comment, or whether you're doing a YouTube video, or whether you're standing in front of a Kingdom Hall with a protest sign. Do everything you can to triumph the evil of the Watchtower.
Rick, where can you leave this review now? Is it on Yelp or Google? Where do you leave these reviews? I'm gonna look that up. Where is it?
Jeff, why don't you tell Shirley what to do it? Where do you do it? On Google. All right. Well,
the Kingdom Hall website. If you type in the Kingdom Hall in your area, you just type in Kingdom Hall of Caldwell or wherever you live, and they'll have all the Kingdom Calls come up. And then when their website comes up, it says leave a review, and it's Google. I'm telling you guys, I had a bad review one time, and I asked them, "How do you get it off?" They said, "It don't come off." And I said, "Well, what do I do? It can put me out of business." And they said, "You got to bury them. You got to put 100 reviews over the top." So these reviews, everybody reads them. It's like somebody.
So, like, I live in New York. Do I type in Kingdom Hall, New York, or Kingdom Hall, Queens, or?
Yep, Queens, or wherever you live. Wallkill. I would type in Kingdom Hall, Wallkill. Wherever you live, whatever city, just type that in, and then a bunch of Kingdom Halls will come up, and then it'll say website, and then you hit the website button, and the Kingdom Hall pops up, and it says leave a review, and then like it says, it might ask you to hit a star, one of the stars, and I put 1, which is the lowest you can do. Right. But man, I'm telling you, I was really scared when Jeff told me this. I said, "My God, this could put somebody out of business." And all
were
of a
there
sudden,
other reviews
everybody
there
started
too?
leaving them. Huh?
There were a few reviews there, ma'am. I looked at Kingdom Halls over the United States, and I saw some reviews. There's people flat out, "Hey, this is a cult, and watch out." I mean, they flat out, that's what they'd say, But yeah, just exactly what Dan says, your area. But what I did is I put a review on every Kingdom Hall I stepped into, and that was like 4 of them, And it's totally legal, and you have a right to do that. And like Dan said, all they could bury it, I guess, and get a bunch of people write a bunch of good reviews. Well, then you come out and you put another review in. You're just telling the truth, like Rick said,
This is a form of activism, like Rick said. When you told me, Jeff, I'm like, this is a cool form of activism. It's 5 minutes. You can do it whether you're handicapped at home. You can write them all day. You could write reviews all day, because I'm always talking about the governing body. I can always
Google it. More and more people are looking at reviews before they patronize or they go somewhere to do business, or all the churches have reviews. All businesses have reviews. I don't know if it's required or what, but I know every Kingdom Hall has a review where you can leave a review.
Yep. So thanks, Rick. Thanks for giving us this time to share this with everybody, because this is a huge movement. Because I'm telling you, people started to write me and saying, "Look at my review I just left. Look at my review I just left." And I thought, oh my God, what if thousands of people start leaving reviews? Oh my God. Anyways, go ahead, Rick.
Well, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, really, like, there's so many different things we can all do. Like you say, you could be an inbound person that doesn't get out much, and you want to do a little activism. Write a review. It's look at all of us together. All of us together can bring this organization down. And I'm going to tell you something. It's working. We are getting points on the scoreboard. We never got points on the scoreboard 10, 15 years ago. Now we're getting points on the scoreboard. The Watchtower knows that we are alive and well, and they try to put one of us out. We're like cockroaches. Another one pops up, and all these
Hey,
people.
Rick?
Yes, Randy.
I just wanted to mention when you talked about all of us doing it together, I saw a YouTube video that was fascinating. Had nothing to do with religion except for it was these Amish people. They were, I can't believe it. You'll have to see it. They were actually moving this barn, probably 60 feet wide, maybe 80 feet long. I mean, a huge barn by hand, no machinery, no wheels, just a bunch of men in there all around the perimeter. You could just see the legs out at the bottom. They were carrying it, and they carried it clear across the pasture and turned it and up hills and down hills. It just shows that what one person can't do by themselves, a lot of people together, all working together, could do it.
Good point, Randy. Very, very good. Yes. Good. Thank you. Was there another person want to talk? Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, I was going to just say, this is Angela. I just going to say one activism is being not a witness, but being the wife of a witness is to go to the memorial, just go to one that you don't normally go to. And when they pass the elements, the wine and the bread, just eat it. That's what I did. I drank it and I ate the bread.
Did you do that at the memorial of the witnesses? Yeah. Wow.
She went a couple years ago. I said, "Don't drink that shit," Lee. Sorry, And she took a big gulp and ate the crackers. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, because it's the right thing to do.
And that's the thing. Jesus says, if you're my follower, eat the bread and drink the wine. And they're telling people not to. It's got to be some kind of satanic thing behind it.
Well, good for you, Angela. Good for you, Angela, for doing that. My goodness gracious. And you meant it. You weren't doing it out of, hey, look at me. You weren't doing it to be a smart person. You're just doing it because that's what you're supposed to do, Yeah.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, I was like shocked. I wasn't expecting that was what was going to go on in there. And when I'm seeing this, everybody's passing this cup and then they're passing the bread. I'm like, what in the world? It's like denying Christ in my way of looking at it. It's like, no, we're all supposed to be taking it. And I just was appalled. I was shocked. I'm like, I am taking it. I don't care. I don't believe what I'm seeing here. It's like Antichrist or something. I don't know. I was appalled. So anyway, it was a little bit out of frustration, and it's my activism. I mean, it's like, no, we all should be taking it. This is sick. So I took it. I didn't really care what anyone thought.
Well, good for you, Angela. Good for you. That brings back memories as you're talking. Now, when I lived in Florida and lived up here too, I partook. But I can remember it was like a dog and pony show. My former wife and I were the only ones in miles around that would partake. So we'd walk into the Kingdom Hall, and the first few times we would partake, people wanted to sit near us. For some reason, they wanted to sit near us. Then they started distancing themselves as the years went on. But I can remember it was it's so solemn at the memorial, right? You can hear a pin drop. And all the kids, when they're passing, it kind of reminded me like a commentary at hearing a football game. And now they're passing the wine. Well, they're in row 1. The Ferens are in row 2. Well, the wine is now coming to the Ferens. Is Rick going to partake? Is his wife going to partake? It reminded me, they were all watching with, what's going to happen? Are they going to take it?
We used to stand on the seats and go, holy shit, they're going to take it. Why?
Oh, yeah, no, the kid,
all look over and go, oh my God.
I could hear the mother, sit down, all the kids are standing up there. They wanted to see it. It was like a big spectacle, like seeing the Aurora Borealis,
At the end, they would be like, do you think he's a real one? Do you think he's one of the real ones, or is he faking? What do you think?
Well, it was so funny because, you're supposed to have this unadulterated wine. It's not supposed to have any ingredients other than just wine. and just fermented wine. That's it. So this one man, he wasn't even a brother. He was the husband of one of the sisters. So he made the wine this particular year, and he was so proud of the wine. And that's all he was talking about. He made the wine. He made the wine. So after the memorial, he come running up to me. Hey, Brother Farron, how'd you like the wine? I mean, you only take a tiny little sip. I mean, how can you even tell, right? But you know what they did? Because some people would kind of scoff at, they thought you were mentally ill. I mean, that's what the Watchtower describes you as. You got to really be worthy and self-scrutinize yourself. And what really is funny is, I heard gossip after one of the memorials. Boy, Brother Farron, did you see all the wine he drank when it came by? That's baloney. Jeez.
Did you ever wonder, Rick, why they filled the glasses so much? Nobody drank it, but yet they had big glasses. Then I realized at the end they would drink it at the end when it was all done.
Well, no, in fact, no, they would keep it. No,
they used to get drunk.
Some Kingdom Halls, the brothers go back and have it. But, I would say to my wife, because even back then, before COVID, I thought it was very unsanitary. Even in the Catholic Church, for the most part, and even in Protestant church, they have these little cups. Well, in the Catholic Church, the priest gives it to you. He puts it right in your mouth. But in the many Protestant churches, they don't just pass a wine glass. They have little cups people take, right? I mean, it's a lot more sanitary. So I'm thinking, look at all the hands that have been on this wine. Little kids, and they're picking their nose and everything else. And so they're passing the wine glass around. I told my wife, take a Kleenex out and wipe the edge of it before you take it. That's why I'm saying, they're going to be passing this. Now, nobody's probably, for the most part, going to be partaking, but they're passing a Petri dish around is what they're doing, Just.
Never partook, but I would hold it up to my nose and take a big long sniff of it. And later, some of the kids that grew up told me, when we were kids, we all got in trouble because we tried doing that too, Randy. Our parents took us and whipped us.
Well, it's such.
I figured I didn't partake. I just smelled, took a big inhaled it. If I only inhaled it, at least I only made it halfway to heaven, huh?
Here,
I took a Lutheran with me in a nice suit. He had an exquisite suit, and he had a very nice goatee, and he was a Lutheran. So when they passed it, he took a sip. And the next Sunday, I took him with me too. And somebody says, "Are you Brother Van Amberg from 1889?"
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh,
no.
This funny story. In this Episcopalian church I went to, this old lady was behind me. We were going to go up and take the wine right out of it was like a brass chalice, and they wiped it each and every time. But anyway, she's right up before me, and she literally gulped down the whole entire thing. And Dan and I looked at each other like, what the heck, what did she do that for? Well, come to find out that she was about ready to have a stroke. She was having a heart attack, and she kind of just wasn't thinking, but the Holy Spirit probably just had her drink it down, and it totally opened her vessels and her heart back up, and she went from white to back to color again. But we realized that she realized, oh my God, I was having a heart attack. So she was drinking the communion wine. It was really funny.
Oh, that is funny. In fact, I have to say this to Andrew and Dick and all those listening in. We have a person on YouTube. I'm going to give them the gold star comment. They wrote on here, BYOC, bring your own cup. so,
Oh my God.
There's always a good.
I was scared shitless of that, Rick. I was scared when they brought it by. When they gave the description, this is Jesus's body. This was made with unleavened bread. This is the blood. I was scared of that shit. When they passed it by, I didn't even want to smell it. That other guy that smelled it, he was brave. I was like, man, I don't even want to touch that stuff. That's the real. I was terrified of it.
Well, Dan, that's a fact. Many people were. They were afraid they were going to spill it, or they just were afraid it had some type of a spirit attached to it or something. I don't know. People were afraid of it.
I was scared of it, hand. I didn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
I looked at it. I didn't even want to. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that's an interesting conversation. It really, really is. And it always amazes me every year. They do it every year, and nice in the 14th. It's so funny because I was looking on Reddit the other day, and someone wrote nice in the 14th is the car nice, and they put 2 S's in it. So a person had to say, no, it's not the car, it's the service. But around this time of year, people do get into the memorial spirit. And of course, it's a fundraiser, and that's what the Watchtower is going to be doing this week, actually next Friday night. Okay, so did you see the Jehovah's Witness broadcast for April? Wow. There's a lot going on, I'm telling you right now, with marriages in the Watchtower. And we mentioned this the last few weeks. We've been talking about marriages made in Brooklyn, even though they're not there. But that's what I call marriages. They're really made in the Watchtower. Well, he's a good ministerial servant, so marry him. He's a real creepy nut, but marry him anyways because he loves Jehovah, and vice versa. Well, she's a nice sister. She pioneers, but she's got nothing going for her. So this is what happens. This is what goes on in the organization. People get married to people they really can't even stand. So now I'm seeing JW broadcasting for April. Now, this is Brother Loesch. Now, he's a governing body member. As a matter of fact, I have to tell you, Brother Loesch, well, he was my friend at one time. So I'm not going to pick on him too much, but he is getting old. He's 82 years old right now. So he is getting old. And he did have a helper on there on JW Broadcasting helping him. But his talk was all about marriage for the most part and youth. But the youth part, fine. I'm not worried about youth now. I don't have any children. But the marriage problem was something I saw. The Watchtower was trying to really solidify the fact that there's problems in the Jehovah's Witness when it comes to marriages. There's no question at all. So I'm going to play a little clip, and then I'm going to let you see it. And then I got my own thoughts on it. So let's get in here. Let's play the clip. I have it set up here on YouTube. You'll hear it if you're on the other networks or other platforms we're on. So let's do this. Let me share the screen right now. Let me get it up so we can share the screen right now. Let's share it. All right, there's Brother Loesch. You can see him. And I think we're just about ready to go, which we are. So let me get the sound up. So we'll be able to get that up here. Let me just see what it is here. That's not in there. Give us a second. Boy, oh boy. Well, there's always something going on. All right, we're sharing it now anyway. So I just want to turn it up. Just give me a second here, folks. Here we go right here. Let's turn it on. You got it.
Welcome. This is my friend Alex Reinmüller. Alex is going to help me host our program, which focuses on family. Alex, what do we have to look forward to?
Thank you, Garrett. I'm delighted to be here with you. For nearly a decade, children have enjoyed our animated series, Become Jehovah's Friend.
So they start off at first with, Become Jehovah's Friend. It's all about kids and how they love the Sophia and the Caleb cartoons. And they show some kids and how they've been writing into the Watchtower, how they like it. But I'm going to fast forward here. I'm going to move up to the part on marriage because I want you to hear this. And then I want to get your thoughts on it. I believe there's a lot of marriage problems in the Watchtower, but let's move it up here. We got to go with 28 minutes and 32 seconds in. So let's just go forward here. So give us let me just catch up here. 38, we got to go 28 minutes and 32 seconds. All right, almost there. All right, let's start right here. This is Brother Loesch speaking here now. I say brother just for vernacular here. But anyways, let's see what he has to say about marriage.
Shared, it's a process that leads to wonderful blessings. In many respects, marriage is like that. A wedding is a special day, but marriage is something that wives and husbands need to strengthen every day. To help Christian couples, the governing body has approved the development of a new series. It's called For a Happy Marriage. Each segment features dramatizations of real marital challenges and how Bible principles can help us build healthy, loving relationships. Here's our first episode.
Now they're playing a video showing some marriage couples. They're smiling and happy and getting married in the Kingdom Hall, but then things turn sour. Shows a couple sitting on a couch and the brother's not talking.
As married couples, most of us have been there. The day-to-day pace of life, work, distractions can cause us to draw away from our mate emotionally. We begin to talk less, distance ourselves, we may feel unappreciated. And even become cold or unkind.
Oh, we'll stop right there for now. But what they're doing is they're showing these videos of couples. They show a young couple sitting on the couch, and the husband's not talking with the wife, and then it's showing an older couple here, and her husband is, in the kitchen making a big mess. She's trying to talk to him. He's not listening. So they're trying to show that, you got to speak. You got to talk with your mate and work with them and what have you. So, that part of it, I understand that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's good to Watchtower can do that. But, the Watchtower doesn't have an impeccable record of good marriages. Let's put it that way. I have to tell you, there's been so many people abused in my 16 years of broadcasting here on the Six Screens Tele Network. I can only tell you this, that I have heard so many cases of marital abuse. I couldn't even count them in 16 years. And I just got a call the other night. Here they are, they're trying to tell you how, and they're going to give you some instructions on what you can do, to actually make your marriage better. But I'm going to tell you something. I think it's baloney what the Watchtower does. They can talk about marriage and how they can help all the time, but they do nothing about brothers, men in the organization that totally abuse their wife. On March 23rd, a few weeks back, I got a call late at night, 2:00 in the morning, and a woman from British Columbia called me up, and she says, Rick, I have to get someone to listen to me. She says, no one believes how abusive my husband was. And that's all I could think of is when I was putting this together here, of them talking about marriages and how the Watchtower is making good marriages and telling you how to make a better marriage. This woman told me that she was married to a Jehovah's Witness man that was totally abusive. And she says, Rick, you're not going to believe me. Please listen to me. And she was crying. Tears were running down. And she said, Rick, please listen to me. Maybe you'll believe me. I says, look, I've heard it all. I've heard so many abusive marriages. And the woman told me that her husband, who was a Jehovah's Witness, she was a witness as well. And what he did is he raped her with a broomstick. I know this sounds terrible, and I wanted to share this with you tonight. He raped her with a broomstick and ruptured her insides, really. And she had to have 4 operations. Her stomach was all messed up. Her insides were all messed up. And she went to the brothers. She went to this organization that is putting videos up here on how to be a good husband, how to be a good wife. She went to that evil organization and told them what her husband did to her. What did they do? They did nothing. They did nothing. In fact, it was so disgusting. And she was a nurse. And she said that she would support him. He wouldn't even work. And her money from being a nurse was supporting this derelict, this jerk of a man. And she was so upset that even after he did this with the broomstick, and she would drive by on the way to work, and she'd see him out in service on the sidewalk doing street witnessing, passing out magazines. The brothers did nothing. So when I see JW Broadcasting, and I see them coming on and talking about how the Watchtower is helping marriages, baloney. That is complete propaganda. This is how the Watchtower has been able to get by for so many years, by just convincing people that they are God's organization. They're the devil's organization.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Could I share one more thought on that?
Sure. Yes.
You know, I've been doing shows on your show for a year, interviewing people, and I would say 90% of them, the women have been abused by men, and the men are still elders. They don't believe the women. This is 100% true, not 50. It's 100% true, and this is the second broom handle in the ass that I've heard. I know another sister who got the same thing, ruptured her rectum.
Yeah.
And why they would be that damn extreme, I'm going to tell you something else too, Rick. To listen to that crap that I just listened to, that you just played, is so insane. It was so slow. It is so mentally ill. To listen to these men, these narcissists up in New York, these authoritarian, what do you think you'll get if you'll join New York? What the hell do you think you're in for? It's male dominant. Women cover their heads when an unbaptized brother comes in and they go out door to door. I mean, this is, women are second class. And Rick, I had to hear it. I'm going to tell you, I had to hear it over and over and over. And I said, can this really be true? Are these women really treated like this? And I swear, Rick, they said the same thing. Nobody believes us, Dan. Nobody believes us. We were beaten. We were this. And I'm like, oh my God. And I've heard it again and again and again and again. And so I want to tell people, I know a lot of people that are listening, you know, are out of there. But if you're thinking about going in there, you're going in for a male-dominated, authoritarian, women don't have a voice. That's the truth. And what you're saying is the truth, Rick. And like I said, I've done shows on there now for over a year, and most of the women have been abused. The last show we did, the one we did last week, the lady said her husband abused her. The elders wouldn't listen to her. Her husband took her to the elders. The story we did before that, the husband took the wife to the elders. The wife was the bitch. So this is pandemic within the organization. This is the real pandemic. Women being abused. Thank you, Rick.
Well, it's real. And Dan, if you don't mind, in another 20 minutes before Reese comes on, I've got to shut this StreamYard down, set up a new StreamYard, and send an invitation to Reese. Would you mind coming on, maybe you and Angela, for 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, we don't mind at all.
Okay, fine. So yeah, when I do that, about 20 minutes, I'm going to bring you on and just kind of fill the gap here. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. Now this, thank you. Now this woman was crying that told me about this, and she says, and that man made her black and blue so many times. I mean, beat her to a pulp. Never mind just with the broomstick, but physically beat her up bad. And she's crying. She says, "Do you believe me, Rick?" I says, "I really believe you." Her name was Phyllis. And she's going to come on the program one of these nights. She's just trying to settle down out of all of this. But she's going to come down on the program. And it really was shattering. But then the other thing is, this video goes on about marriage with coming from Watchtower Broadcasting. It goes on. And first of all, it showed the things you should do. You know, speak with your wife, speak with your husband, show kindness. That's all good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I think that's nice. But then it goes on to, well, you know, kind of put up with some of the things they do and work it out. And so it's showing this older couple. So it's showing this older woman, I'd say it's probably like in her 60s. So she's walking into the kitchen and they're saying how you have to be nice to your husband. So he is making a complete mess. In the video, it shows pots and pans and food and crumbs and everything all over the counter, and the pans are piled up to the ceiling. And he's sitting there eating all kinds of food, making a big mess. So she comes in and she smiles at him and basically she's going to do the dishes for him. So it showed me that in a way, it's like a subliminal message that, and really I noticed it. I mean, it just stood out like a sore thumb. This guy deserved to be kicked in the butt. This guy didn't deserve to be, smiled at, and his wife's going to do all the work for him. He's messing the kitchen. But see, this is how they're doing it. They're showing you that we'll put up with your husband no matter what he does. Yeah, even if he rapes you with a broomstick. Unbelievable. This organization really, it's something's got to be done with this organization. I don't know. There's criminals in there. I can honestly tell you that there are criminals, and some of these people have got to go to jail. You can't do this to people.
The nurse didn't call the police. I wish she'd called the police the first time. And Marcus, on one of his very first videos, had a tape recording of when he was at Bethel, a brother that had a very young wife, much younger, and I cannot forget it because she's pleading for him not to and for him to stop. And it was a similar situation.
Well, it's terrible.
It's what we would call marital rape.
Yeah.
It wasn't a seduction. It wasn't any lovemaking. It was rape.
Yeah. Well, this is something that the Watchtower comes off. And really, no, I'm going to tell you, I mean, I was a witness for 50 years of my life. I'm 73 years old right now. But I'm going to tell you, I was a witness for 50 years of my life. And I'm going to say this. There were a lot of bad marriages. I even seen young bad marriages. I went to a wedding, and the marriage didn't last 6 weeks. It was, geez, and the parents spent thousands of dollars on the wedding. And, these are just marriages made in Brooklyn. I think I love them. So they get married 6 weeks later, they divorce. What happened with that? I mean, I'm sure that happens in the world too, folks. Don't just think I'm just picking on the Watchtower here. But they sure do have their share of bad marriages. And then another thing, too, that people have been writing me about, and I've been getting mail in here to the 6 screens as of late, and they're saying something's going on in the witness world right now where there seems to be an imbalance in age between couples. Yeah, there's a big imbalance. People are writing to me and telling me that in their Kingdom Hall, there's like, a 40-year-old brother that's dating well, at least seeing, I mean, they can't date per se, but at least seeing a 22-year-old girl, It's,
I mean, 22 and he could be
80. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Hey, listen, in fact, I remember it was like the opposite. There was a woman in my Kingdom Hall here in Wilmington, Massachusetts, and she was nice. Her name was Rose. I'm not going to pick on Rose. She was nice. But anyway, she's out in the field ministry. And she meets a man 90 years old and studies the Bible with him and married him. Now, that's okay. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. But, I mean, that's just one example. And the witnesses don't seem to have any issue with that at all. But it happens. Now, that's okay. That's understandable. Both older people. But when you get a 40-year-old brother, going and sitting next to and liking a 20-year-old or 23-year-old, something's wrong with that. So that's going on a lot. In the Kingdom Halls. So, this idea of Watchtower being the great matchmaker, Watchtower being so beautifully crafted from Jehovah God to create great marriages, that's a bunch of baloney. All right. So let's see. Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a whole lot of time to talk about this one, but on that same video, they talked about children, watching Sophia and Caleb and how wonderful that has been for the young kids. Then they talked about marriage and how wonderful the Watchtower is in helping marriages. And then this one came out of nowhere, but it was on this video. It had to do with Malawi. Now, they showed some footage from Malawi. Now, we remember what went on in Malawi, right? We remember what happened. I believe that was back in the 70s, I believe. Maybe early 80s, but I believe it was 70s. Actually, I got the dates here. From 1964 to 1954, the Jehovah's Witnesses in Malawi were really being mistreated. But, I mean, it was really bad back in the 70s. Remember, we all wrote letters. Oh, please please don't pick on the witnesses. Don't persecute the witnesses. Now, I'll tell you, they were being persecuted big time, if you want to call it that. The religion caused it. The Jehovah's Witness religion caused unbelievable amounts of people dying, being raped, thrown in prison. And this is without any question of a doubt. This organization misguided and applied inconsistency in their religious laws. Now, they were saying that the Malawi witnesses could not buy a Katila card. In other words, that's a card that you would be supporting the military and you would take part in it if they ever needed you. But they said you couldn't do that. And so they were throwing the witnesses because they wouldn't buy this card. They wouldn't do it. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. I ran a little bit of ahead here, a little bit of ahead of time. The witnesses in Malawi, they were asked to join a political party. They were asked to join a political party. Now, I'll get this straight, okay? But at the same time, because they wouldn't join the political party, all they had to do was say, okay, I'm joining, and, you know, just kind of go through the motions, but they couldn't even do that. So if they wouldn't adhere to the government of Malawi's wishes to join the party, they were raped, killed, and thrown in prison. But now at the same time, the witnesses in Mexico, they were doing just the opposite. They had to buy this Katila card in order to escape military service. So the witness organization said, fine, go ahead, bribe the officials and get the card. So just bribe them. In other words, pay it, get the card, and just, you know, don't really join in. So they were involved in his two different instances in the Watchtower that really the results are the same. One was joining a political party, and the other one, well, they were going to be thrown into prison and killed for that. But yet the brothers in Malawi, they could get off by bribing the officials and getting a card that got them saved and spared from being thrown in prison. So inconsistencies in the Watchtower, and yet they had the audacity to bring this clip on this video I was watching this week, to bring this man on who was a witness in Malawi, and they kind of reenacted what he went through, but they saw, you know, they showed the officials kicking him, beating him up, throwing him in prison, and he didn't have to go through that. Women didn't have to be raped. People didn't have to be killed. The Watchtower could have softened up here a little bit, but no. Watchtower didn't soften up one bit, but in Mexico they did. You figure. Well, you're on JW World News. You're on the World News. It's all about the Watchtower. And we kind of give you every Saturday night everything that's going on behind the curtains. Now, as we mentioned earlier, this Friday night is going to be the memorial. So why don't you do what you can? I know there are some people in some parts of the country that have been in touch with me. I know Jeff, who was just on earlier, he's going to be protesting in front of his Kingdom Hall. I also got information from a fella, and his name is Steve. He's in New Zealand, and he's going to be, he's also going to be protesting against the Watchtower. We'll be doing it here. Now, we're not going to have a big crowd. In the past, we've had as many as 20, 23 people, but we're not going to have a big crowd. I can understand a lot of people don't want to do it, and you know, I get that, but it just might be a few of us, but that's okay. We're going to set up our little table there, and we'll be having some banners. We're going to film it live on Facebook and also on YouTube. We'll have our telephone set up as well, so if people want to call in and ask us questions while we're there, we'll have the telephone set up. So by all means, if you're doing nothing on Friday night and you'd like to get a bird's eye view of a memorial right up here in Massachusetts, we'll be there. And my goal this year is I really hope to be able to get a PMO, you know, one who is physically and mentally out. I hope to get one of those to roll a window down and talk to us a little bit and tell us what went on. We're trying to get an inside scoop on how the memorial went. But what I'm looking for numbers. I'm looking to see how many cars are going to be in the parking lot. I'm looking to see if it's going to be filled? Is it going to be half filled? Or where they stand on that? So Friday night, join us, and we'll have a good night. We'll have a good night together, and we can talk once again right here on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so let me see. We got that. We got all the bases covered. We got Reese coming up here shortly. So by all means, stay in with us. And don't go anywhere, because Reese has got a big program coming up. Now, he's going to go light tonight. He's not going to. Last week, 2 weeks ago, he got into some heavy duty stuff. Not everybody was totally in agreement with Reese, but that was okay. He doesn't care. He just sits back and rolls it out. But he said, Rick, I'm going to go a little lighter tonight, but he's got a lot of stuff on his plate. He's going to be talking about these high gas prices. He's going to be talking about the high prices of everything and what that's all about. So why don't you join Reese tonight? He's going to be coming on here in about 10 minutes. Also, I just want to make a mention, we do have 6 Screens Sunday tomorrow. Now, Sunday, we get into the theological teachings of the Watchtower. We don't do it on Saturday night. People don't like it. They're leaving the Watchtower. They don't like getting involved in biblical thoughts and what have you. So we do that tomorrow. So if you're one that has a propensity to learning about the scriptures and seeing where the Watchtower was wrong, we got a number of programs on tomorrow. Beginning at 1 o'clock, we have Knowing God. And these are 2 Christian apologists that come on and they take a Watchtower teaching, whether it's the cross, or whether it's just fellowshipping, and they'll actually dissect it and see if it's biblical. So they're coming on tomorrow. Scott Walton and Jody Bishop. They'll be on tomorrow at 1. Excuse me 1 second. Get a little hoarse here, talking all night, I know. But anyways, they'll be on at 1. Then Anne Marie's coming on tomorrow, and she does ex-witness Christian testimonies. They share their testimonies right here with Anne Marie. That'll be tomorrow at 2. We have Roland coming in from the United Kingdom, and he became a Christian. He was literally beat up by the Jehovah's Witnesses, and he's going to give his testimony tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And then at 3 o'clock, we do our Sunday edition of JW World News. So we'll be talking about the news tomorrow at 3 o'clock as well. And then Jay Hess. Wow, if you get a Bible question for Jay, come in tomorrow at 3 o'clock, because you're going to answer any Bible question you have. He was at one time associated with the Watchtower writing department. He wrote a lot of the highfalutin theological pamphlets and articles in the Watchtower, including he worked on the Trinity brochure. So by all means, join Jay tomorrow. All right, so I'm going to cut you all loose here. If you like YouTube, you like Facebook, why don't you subscribe? Why don't you share it? Give us at least a like, because I'll tell you, the more likes we get, the more shares we get, the more people subscribing, the more people are going to listen in, which means more people will get out of the Watchtower and hopefully get their life in order. So I thank you all for listening in. We're going to be going to Reese here, Watchtower and the Occult Connection coming up next. But I want to say this, the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Okay, Dan and his wife Angela got to come in for a few minutes before Reese comes in. I believe they're here with us now. Hello, Dan, Angela.
Hey, everybody.
There they go. Okay, Dan, I'll be with you in about 10 minutes. Go ahead and take it away.
All right. How's everybody tonight?
All right, everybody's good, I think, Dan. They're not saying anything.
All right. Hey, I had a thought to run by everybody tonight. I had an epiphany, and I wanted your guys' thought. It actually pissed me off, but I want to see what your guys' thoughts are. I think I